Okay, so we have to learn the next. In last lab, I have taught you up to scope resolution operators, sixth practical. Now we are going to see seventh practical, which is the dynamic memory management operator using new and delete. See, in C language, we had four functions for the memory management. There were malloc, calloc, realloc and free. But in C++, we have to roam around only two operators. See, these new and delete are not functions, rather they are operators. So we have to deal with these operators only. So let's see. First of all, what is dynamic memory allocation? Dynamic memory allocation refers to performing memory allocation manually by programmer. Dynamically allocated memory is allocated on heap, and non-static and local variables get memory allocated on stack. Now, what are the applications of it? So basically, when you are developing a program, and at that time, um, like if you are dealing with arrays, suppose you have created an array of 100 size, but you are not actually going to using it. So at the time of like writing a program according to the need, you dynamically allocate memory and destroy it. So according to your need, the memory is getting allocated. So how is it different from normal memory allocation? See, normal variables like integer a or character str of 10 is etc. memory is automatically allocated and deallocated. For dynamically allocated memory like this, integer star p equals to new integer of 10, it is programmer's responsibility to deallocate the memory when no longer needed. See, when we are talking about the local variables or global variables, when programmer writes local variables, then compiler is allocating the memory, but it is not programmer's duty to deallocate memory. After the completion of program, automatically compiler flushes the memory. But in dynamically allocated memory, especially in C++, it is a programmer's duty to deallocate the memory, otherwise memory leak will happen. Right? It causes memory leak. Memory is not deallocated until program is terminated. Right? So let's see new operator. I hope you all are able to see. The new operator denotes a request for memory allocation on the heap. If sufficient memory is available, new operator initializes the memory and returns the address of the newly allocated and initialized memory to the pointer variable. See, whenever we are dealing with memories, compulsorily there is a pointer. You know what is pointer and how to assign a pointer, how to declare and initialize the pointer. So what is the syntax of new operator? First we write the pointer variable. Of course we need to create a pointer first and then we use the pointer variable equals to new and the data type in which you want to create a memory. Here pointer variable is the pointer of type data type. Data type could be any built-in data type including array or any user defined data types including structure and class. So it is totally up to you in your program's need. Let's say for example, pointer initialized with null, then request memory for the variable. See, integer star p, this is a normal pointer p, right, with integer data type equals to first null. That means right now I am not pointing to any location. But now what will happen? P equals to new integer. Now when we are like in code blocks or Dev C++, integer takes 4 bytes of memory. So new integer, that means integer takes 4 bytes of memory. So there will be 4 bytes chunk of memory reserved and P will be pointing to the base location of that location, right? Or you can combine both of them in the same line, that integer star p equals to new integer. Same thing happens, 4 byte memory is like allocated, p is pointed to the base location of that memory chunk. We can also initialize the memory using new operator, pointer variable equals to new data type, and inside the brackets value. Like how? This is the example. See, integer, this is the same thing, but in the round brackets we provide 25. So that location will be given a value 25, right? Same thing over here, that location will be given a value 75.25 as value, right, of that location, not the address or anything else, but the value, right? Over here there is no need of variable. You can see that we have not assigned any variable. We are directly accessing the memory using pointer and the constants, right? This is the new operator. And then we have allocate block of memory. See, when we are dealing with array, then how to allocate a block of memory? So like this, first we use pointer variable equals to new data type, and then in the square brackets we provide the size. So this is the example where size specifies the number of elements in an array, right? Dynamically allocates memory for 10 integers continuously of type integer and returns pointer to the first element of the sequence, which is assigned to a pointer. P0 refers to the first element, P1 refers to the next element, as over here you can see this, right? These all are not required. So if you want to create a chunk of memory, like so many blocks of memory, then you have to just pass the size. Now delete operator syntax is very normal. You have to just write the delete and the pointer variable name, which is pointing to the dynamically allocated memory. So this is the example. In the previous example we had used P and Q. You can see over here, right? P and Q we have used. So we have to just write delete P and Q, and our dynamically allocated memory block will be deleted, right? So it releases the block of memory pointed by the pointer variable. And if you have created a block of memory for array elements, then you have to just pass the empty brackets, delete empty brackets and the pointer variable, right? So let's see the program. Write a program to enter a size of array. Create an array of size given by user using new dynamic memory management operator, free store operator. Enter the data to store in array and display the data after adding 2 to each element in the array. Delete the array by using delete memory management operator. So first what we need to do is, first we need to okay, first we need to write the size of array. Okay, array. First we need size of array, right? Create an array of size given by user. So now what we'll do, we will take input from the user, right? We need to write the size of array. Okay, then we have taken this from user. Now what we need to do is create an array of size given by the user using new dynamic memory management operator. Now what we need to do, this has been entered by the user, so we have to create an array of this size using new memory management operator, right? So what we are doing is, let's see the syntax of new pointer variable equals to new data type and in the brackets size. So first we need to write integer type because we are dealing with integer type. Integer star pointer equals to new space data type, new space integer, right? Because we are dealing with integer type of data, and in the square brackets we are writing this. You guys getting? Because whatever the size is given from the user, we have to create that much memory only. Okay, so this is done. Enter the data to store in array and display the data after adding 2 in each element. So first what we need to do is we have to take we have to take a look because it is equals to 0 I less than this and I plus plus. What we are doing is we are just adding 2, right? Star p equals to star p plus 2. Okay, because let's start p. Yeah, that's correct. First of all, it will be pointing to the first location. We have to go up to the last location. We have to just do this and we have to first we need to assign some random values. So you can take some random values, that's fine. P, and after that we have to do p plus plus because we have to move to the next location. 0. Let's see what happens. I need slash n after that, and then slash t. Otherwise I can do slash. That's fine. And the size of array, let's say 5. So you can see that 5 memory blocks are being created and 2 has been added to each and every location. See, over here we do not have any variable, array variable, so that's why we cannot like do something like this, that this is alternate p equals to something, because it's not starting from somewhere, right? So we cannot write this, so that's why I have taken external looping condition. Okay, so this is something like the program which you need to do. And after that what we need to do is enter the data to store the array and display the data after adding 2. Done. Delete the array by using delete operator. Now if you want to delete the same array, then what you need to do is just after this use just write delete and then space. The pointer variable is p, but it is an array, so we need to write empty brackets and just p, so whole data will be flushed out. Clear? So this is your 7th practical. Then 8th practical is constant pointer, pointer to constant, and constant pointer to a constant. For this, you need to use the reference material of Bala Gurusamy, and these three topics are given. First of all, let me tell you what is what is a constant. That means directly a number. Constant means the value will remain same in the whole program, right? Now let's see a constant pointer. Let me directly take this. Okay. See, over here integer variable 1 equals to 35, variable 2 equals to 10, 20. What we need to do is find the error. Okay, we have to find the error. Now, if you want to, let's see, we have over here. Now, we have created a constant pointer. How we can create a constant pointer? By putting const before the pointer name, right? So integer star, instead of star ptr, we write star const ptr. So the address which you are assigning to ptr will remain same in the entire program. So right now we are assigning the address of variable 1 to ptr, right? Now in this line what we are trying to do is we are trying to change the value of ptr pointer. We are trying to provide the address of variable 2, but ptr has been declared as const, so this is wrong, right? So what we need to do is we need to just close this. So let's see, right? 0 errors. Are you guys getting? Because we are creating pointer as constant, we cannot change the address provided to pointer, right? Now pointer to constant, let's see this. See over here, now pointer is not constant, but the value which has been provided is constant. That means you cannot change the value of the variable. So see this, the uh, place of keyword const will be now new. Instead of integer star const ptr, it is first const integer star ptr. Integer star ptr equals to ampersand var1. That means this pointer can be furthermore used to indicate some another variable, but the value of this variable cannot be changed now. See, star ptr equals to 1. That means you are using it for some another value. What is happening? We are trying to change the value situated at like in the location which is pointed by star ptr. So we have to remove this line, right? And what we are doing is, normally we are doing, if you want to replace the value, what you can do is variable 1 equals to 34. Right now the value of variable 1 is 43, but as you can see, using pointer you cannot change the or update the value of the variable, but if you normally want to do it, that's fine. See again, if I try to write this line, this is not allowed, right? It shows two different errors now. If this is not allowed, so let's put it into comments. So let's put it into comments as well. So as you can see, first it shows 43 and then it shows 34. So by only using variable, if you update the value, that is fine. But once you you cannot update using the pointer. right? So variable is indicated by a pointer will be constant if you try to change the value of that variable through the pointer. So that is nothing but a pointer to constant, right? So pointer must be there. If you are trying to access through pointer, then that is wrong. Now constant pointer to a constant. Now mean this both concepts have been merged into one program. That means you cannot change the value of the pointer, or you cannot change the value of the variable through the pointer. Both of them are wrong. So you can see that it shows two different errors, this one and this one. Over here we are trying to update the value of variable 1 using the pointer, and over here what we are doing is we are trying to give the pointer a new location for pointing. So both of them are wrong. So we have to just put them in ponds, either remove it or just put them in comments, right? So you can see that this is the concept. So this is third concept. The mixture of first two is the third concept. Constant pointer to a constant. And you can see in the statement how you can declare constant pointer to a constant. First was constant pointer, right? That means integer star const ptr. The next one was pointer to constant. So it was constant integer star ptr. Now combining them both, we have to write 2 times constant. Constant data type star constant pointer equals to some variable address. I hope you guys are clear with this topic. Then we have ninth practical. Find out the output of the following program. Explain the use of Boolean data type. Now what is Boolean data type? Let me teach you. Boolean means only two, either one of the two outputs, either 0 or 1. We all know now that as we are learning a computer language, we will be having only any of the two outputs, either 0 or 1. 0 indicates false and 1 indicates true, right? So any non-zero value will be true and 0 will be false, right? So let's see. Let me show you. This is the one. Okay. See, bool means if you take any non-zero value, that will be given as 1 only, right? So a equals to will, instead of 321 it will be considered 1 only, and b if you don't have or not, if you haven't given anything, then let's see what happens. A slash t over here slash t, and let's give value of b. Let's try to print value of a and b. See, the value of a is 1 in, even if you have taken 321, as it is a boolean, any non-zero value will be considered 1, and b is not given anything, so it will be taken as garbage. Okay, now let's do different thing. See, integer c equals to 2 true and d equals to false. So let's see what it gives you as an output. Okay, let's see what it gives you as an output. See, you can see that C equals to 1 and D equals to 0. True means 1, false means 0. Right? The above is similar. Now let's see. C equals to A plus A, that means 321 plus 321, so 642 it should be there. But what it gives, let's see. Integer C contains equals to C is 2, because even if A is 321, it is considered into bool, so 321 will be 1 only. So C is a normal variable, that's why 1 plus 1 equals to 2. Right? Now let's see what happens over here. B is a boolean, right? So C is right now 2 plus A equals to, A is what? 321. So 321 plus 2 is 323. So let's see what happens. See, B is boolean. So that's why 323 is nothing but a true. So true will be 1. Is it clear? So remember only one thing, false equals to 0 and any non-zero value is 1 in boolean. Means true is 1 and any non-zero value is 1 in boolean. Okay, and you have to see which variables has been declared as boolean and which variables are normal variables. Clear? So you need to keep that also in mind. So that is nothing but your 9th practical. Okay, now let's turn to 10th practical. Over here, function overloading or static binding is considered. So let's see. What we need to do is define 3 functions named divide. First function takes numerator and denominator as an input argument and checks it's divisible or not. Second function takes one integer. Okay, let's do side by side. We have to create 3 functions. Okay, I told you in one lecture that in C++ polymorphism is allowed. That means in same program more than one function with the same name, same return type can be allowed. So let's see, 3 divide functions we have to do. First function takes numerator and denominator. Let's say all the functions are returning nothing. Okay. We want to check it if it's divisible or not, so we need to take integer. Numerator and denominator. Okay. Second function takes one integer number as input argument and checks whether the number is prime or not. So there will be only one number. Okay, and the third function takes 3 float numbers as argument and finds an average of the number. So let's say float A float C. Okay, now this function you need to check what's happening or what's not happening. Okay, now these 3 are different functions and main what you need to do is you need to call all of 3 functions, but see the thing function we need to learn is static binding or function overloading. Now what is function overloading? When in your same program more than one function is having same name with different number of arguments and different type of arguments. So it is allowed in C++. It does not depend on the written type of the function, but it depends on the number of arguments and types of arguments. So you can see all the three functions are different according to C++ because all of them are having different number of arguments and different type of arguments. So basically how you call the function, everything will depend on how you call the function. So let's say I'm calling one function. Suppose I am calling function like this, 3. I am calling function like this. So what will happen? It will check that which function is with one integer argument. So it will run this function. So the control will be given to this divide function with one integer argument. Now, if you pass something like this, so what will happen? It will check which function has two integer arguments. So this divide function has two integer arguments. So the control will be given to this function. Now if you pass something like this, there is a type mismatch. Right? There is a type mismatch. See undefined reference to this because these arguments are of float type. So what we need to do is write some, and there won't be any type mismatch. Okay, we cannot do this. We need to have float because if we have done this, that means those will be considered as double, not float. So we cannot do that. Float x, y, z. What we can do is go to 1.1. Can pass x, y, and z. Now let's di, di, de. Okay, I guess we haven't completed the program, that's why it is there. So we have called our function like this. So according to that, the control will be passed to this divide function. So what is static binding or uh, poly, static binding or function overloading? That in the same program, if you have more than one function with same name, same written type, which is allowed in C++, we have to just focus on the number of arguments and types of arguments. Now why it is called as static binding? So static binding because according to the user, according to like while developing the program, in the main program, according to the function call which has been happening, the binding operation will be done in that way, right? So according to the user, however he or she is passing the arguments, the binding of the parameters will happen to the functions, right? So that's why it is called as static binding, means manual binding. Dynamic binding will learn afterwards because that is automatically happens. So this is nothing but the function overloading or static binding. Now the function logic you have to develop by yourself because it is very basic. You can see that you have to just check whether it is divisible or not. Divisible or not means what? That should your reminder must be 0. Okay. Whether the number is prime or not, you have already done this in your C language, so you can just copy paste your logic over here. That's also fine. And the third function, we have to just find out the average of three numbers. So that is also normal. Okay, so you have to do up to 10th practical. We are not taking 11th. Okay, we have completed up to 10th. So is there any doubt up to 10th?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so you have to complete your programs up to 10th practical. Okay, and in the programs in which you have to check the errors, you have to see which error you are getting, copy paste that error on your WordPad and write down its justification why that error is there. Then what you have to do is you have to rewrite the correct program, run it, and have your output on the file. Clear? So how you are going to create your file? Aim, code, output. In case of finding the errors, aim, code, list of errors and its justification, then correct code, and then output. Clear? Okay, then if you have any questions, then you may stay back. Otherwise